Welcome back to episode 4 in the Ask Phill series of customer questions. I've had a question from a lady called Lucy this week about the use of diatomaceous earth in getting rid of pests with chickens. And apparently the information on the internet is very confusing, so we'll try and make this as straightforward as possible. The best thing in the chicken keeper's armoury against pests is diatomaceous earth. It's formed from the skeletons of microscopic organisms that exist in fresh water and salt water, but we only use the ones from fresh water. They're millions of years old, they're dug up out of the ground and then cleaned and ground up. And under a microscope, they look like shards of glass. They are very, very sharp and prickly, but very absorbent as well. And so we use these properties to help kill pests in, on and around our chickens. You have to be careful when buying diatomaceous earth. If you go onto eBay or something like this, you can actually buy the wrong type of diatomaceous earth. It needs to be food grade, so any reputable pet shop or poultry supplier would be selling the appropriate grade to use. The other type is heat treated, and it's used a lot in swimming pool filters. But it's actually dangerous to use. Just to make it complicated, the EU brought in some regulations in 2015 that said that all biocides, things that kill things, have to be licensed, which is a sensible thing really. So you can only advertise diatomaceous earth as a pest killer now if it's come from a licensed source. The two products that do that are Smite Killer Powder and BioLink Diatom Residual Red Mite Control. It's basically exactly the same ingredient as the traditional product that we've been using for years, but they can advertise it as killing mites. You cannot do that with the traditional product. However, we use it for residual control. It goes out, it dries out the environment that mites live in, and it abrades them and desiccates them, and so it helps to control them. Historically used in feeds to control pests and moisture. We use it to control pests and moisture in our chicken houses. It works physically in two ways. Its microscopic glass-like qualities on very small organisms lacerates the skin and gets in all their gnarly bits and abrades them. And then because diatomaceous earth is very absorbent, it then absorbs the lipids and liquids that make up these little bugs and dries them out and kills them. So this isn't like putting a poison down. They're not going to go and fall down dead. It will take several days to kill them. But it's a residual control. If you use it regularly, it will work. It will cut down the numbers of these pests in your house, and it'll cut down the moisture in your house as well. The best place to use this product is on the bedding in the house, especially the nest boxes, because the birds go into the nest boxes, shugly down a bit, make themselves a little nest, and of course that way the diatomaceous earth gets on their feathers. And on the perches, so any little crawly things that want to go along the perches have to go through the diatomaceous earth first. About 50 grams per square metre is adequate, which is about a palmful over a square metre. Doesn't need to be more scientific than that. If diatomaceous earth gets wet, it stops being effective. But the good thing is when it dries out again, you're off. Away it goes. This means that what you can do is mix up a wash of diatomaceous earth, like a paint, in a small tub or bucket, and then you can paint the inside of your house with it. When it dries out, it will have gone into all the little nooks and crannies and be really effective. There is a product from Smite that does this in a handy spray can, which is called Smite Killer Spray, but it is a very handy spray version of what you can do in a small tub yourself. So traditional diatomaceous earth comes in fairly large quantities, so you can use it not sparingly. Comes in puffer packs like this, so you can puff it into any of the areas in your house, or it comes in big tubs, which is a more economical way to use it. And we also sell shakers like this, you scoop it out of the big tubs, put the top on, and then shake it around in the house so it gets nice coverage everywhere. When you're applying diatomaceous earth, as with anything that's in a powder form, you should ideally wear a disposable mask. They're cheap and disposable, and a pair of rubber gloves is a good idea. If you use diatomaceous earth in your poultry feed, then it helps to prevent internal parasites. It's not a wormer, but it does help. It also helps with their digestion and the conversion of the feed. So they get more goodness from their feed. As a mineral supplement, it's excellent for your birds. Contains 19% calcium. I have to write this on my hand so I can remember what it is. Silicon, sodium, iron and magnesium. And what you do is normally put it in at between 2 and 5% by weight into the feed. Don't need to do it all the time. 1 week a month should do the job excellently. Diatomaceous earth can be used in your house as a residual pest control if you have problems with fleas from the cats, silverfish, lice, mites, ants, wood lice, earwigs, anything small, creepy, crawly. You just put it down, especially around the edges, leave it down for a week and then hoover it up afterwards. As long as it doesn't get wet, it'll come up and leave the surface clean and control the pests. If you're using diatomaceous earth, use it generously. Put it everywhere. It's a really good thing. The wonderful thing about natural products like diatomaceous earth is they contain no pesticides. Therefore, what you're trying to kill cannot build up a resistance. Therefore, if you're unlucky enough to get an infestation of something, you can then go in with some strong, powerful insecticides and the mites or lice won't be resistant to it, and so you'll have a much, much better chance of getting rid of them quickly. Diatomaceous earth can be used on your birds, and again, no pesticides, so the pests don't build up a resistance. You just rub it all over into the feathers, give it a bit of a home pride job, and they'll be fine. The other great thing is to put it in a dust bath, and then the chickens will actually get the diatomaceous earth over themselves, and you don't have to do it for them. As long as it's nice and dry, it'll be just great. And look who's just come into the shop, our friendly poppy seller. I think I'd like a poppy, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That's very generous.
There we go.
Thank you.
Because I should be wearing my poppy while we're filming. So after that pleasant little interruption, I hope that diatomaceous earth use is a bit clearer and more straightforward to you now. If you need more help, don't forget that you can always email or Facebook or just phone up and ask a question. If you've got any questions or subjects that you'd like covered in Ask Phill, then you can email us to info@flytesofancy.co.uk. That's flight with a Y. Or message us on our Facebook page. Or you can see all our videos on our YouTube channel. If you're at all interested in any of the products that we've shown you today, then you can go on to the Flyte So Fancy website, www.flytesofancy.co.uk, where there's lots and lots of poultry related products and a huge amount of information for poultry keepers. Thank you very much for watching and listening. See you next time.